the mentorship program. That was powerful. Who came up with that idea? Where'd that come from?
That actually came from D, if I can remember correctly, just because he's so connected to all the young players, you know, trying to get guys to perfect game tournaments, different things like that. And he was just like, hey, what if we just started talking to some of these new draft picks and some of these guys that are coming up through the ranks? And, you know, it turned out to be a great night. That was one of the funnest nights I've had so far, is being a part of the Players Alliance.
What were some of the things discussed? What was discussed on that? I'll go with Curtis. You give me something on that. What was discussed?
It was great. We brought in the recently drafted black players. And just for everyone to know, I think there was only 13 black players in this year's draft. So, again, think about all the stuff we're talking about, things we're trying to address. And because of the pandemic, guys don't always get a chance to be around each other to meet and interact for the first time. So using Zoom and using technology that we have now, we were still able to make that connection, bringing former players like Stacey, myself, Torrey Hunter, with some of the current players that you see here, D. Gordon, Edwin Jackson, Cameron Maben, and then some of the recently drafted guys, just to let them know the ropes. I mean, CeCe had probably one of the best lines. Learn some life skills. Learn how to do your laundry. Learn how to wash your clothes, how to get up. You forget how that stuff is so important, but some of these drafts are only 18 years old. So remember where you were when you were 18 years old, when you were on your way to college or you were leaving home for the first time. And now you're all of a sudden, you have a professional job where you have to go out there and perform. Having some of those basic life skills can take you a very long way. And Isaiah Green is from California. So we connected him with CeCe Sabathia from California and Dom Smith from California. So a great way to bridge the gap to get these guys introduced to the game.
Hey, Edwin, first time you left home, what stood out? I saw you nodding your head in that conversation. Were you not doing your own laundry or what?
Man, Harold, I'm a country boy from Georgia, man. My mom made me do my laundry. Now, I did have days where she would iron for me, but that's one of the things, man. It's a shock for sure. I mean, you go from high school to on your own, and it's not college, it's not anything. You go to the major league or the minor league level, which is still professional baseball. You're doing everything on your own. You're doing your own laundry. You have to iron your own clothes. A lot of those things, when you're from the South, your parents or your mom, more so, your mom do a lot of those things for you. So once you get grown, you have to do it on your own. But I was ready. I was ready for it, Harold.
You know, you brought up something there. You're out of high school. And if you look at the majority of Major League black players, they've come out of high school. Not many guys are getting that opportunity to go to college, be drafted, and signed out of college. Curtis, you're like an exception. I think you went to a year of junior college or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. But for the most part, you can go all the way back to Derek Jeter and move forward. That opportunity to go to college is not really that same option. So, Cam, I know you came out of high school and signed. When you're leaving home and you're sitting there with that dream in front of you, what was your thoughts then, and what were you equipped for?
You know, my situation was a little bit different. I was very fortunate that at age 15, I was selected to go play with a group called the Midland Redskins out of Cincinnati, Ohio. So at age 15, I think it was after my freshman year, I had to go and live with a host family. And that host family did not wash your clothes. They did not do your laundry. So at a very early age, my mom was extremely happy when I came back that summer and I was doing my own laundry and I was making, I call it surviving, making my own meals if I needed to eat. And I also was a bat boy for 3 years for the Asheville Tourists. And I've always been a pretty big kid, so I had the opportunity to take BP, take infield and outfield. I had a chance to pick guys like Mickey Brantley's mind. And, you know, thank God for Mickey Brantley. You know, he told me when I was 15, you know, hey, kid, you might have a bright future in this game. But, you know, a little advice when you get drafted, and when you get drafted as a young black man, you know, you have 3 strikes. And when they call your name, they take one away sometimes just because you're black. You know, and I thought that was great advice. Just, you know, I think basically what he was saying was make sure you be on your P's and Q's because that's just the way the game is and that's the way it's always been. So
what you just said there, though, about the 3 strikes, someone sitting at home is going, really? That happens? D, I see you shaking your head. Curtis, tell me why that happens, D. I know myself you're telling the truth, but explain that to America.
First of all, America, I'm scared to say this out loud, just to let y'all know. But it's literally like, you know, we come with a pizzazz with us. We come with a flair, you know, where most of us come up from playing any sport or doing anything. we was better than everybody, and we have a little bit of a swag about ourselves about it. The strike thing means like you just got to be perfect. You got to do the right things every day. The numbers speak for themselves, being at 8%. So you got to be perfect to be part of that 8%.
No, when I was coming up, they were like, you got to be twice as good, don't make mistakes. And I played in the 80s and 90s, and you're saying that still stands today, CC?
Yeah, I mean, I came up and I had Ellis Burks right away. He was my vet. Like, he took care of me, but that was the first thing he made sure that he conveyed. It was like, make sure you play the game within the game. Make sure that you're coachable. Make sure that you're a good teammate. You can wear your hat to the side, but you know what I mean? Like, you make sure you're doing all these things first, and make sure that you going out winning games to be able to keep being yourself.
Yeah, and I just want to say, and when I said that, like Cece said, like that was just one conversation that I had at 15. Like, as you get into it, Orlando Hudson, Adam Jones, and it was just like Cece said, like, hey, like, we gotta be a little bit more straight and narrow, and that's just what I was taught, So again, like D said, I don't want America thinking that's what I was made up, but this is a long history and a long line of advice trickling down from, former black players to current black players. And it's always been a little bit of like, hey, like sometimes you may see somebody else doing something, but you might just want to hang back and not get involved because we might not have the same consequences or circumstances. So, like I said, this was just advice that was passed down, to me. I was very lucky to have Curtis Granderson, somebody like him. I watched how Curtis moved and how Curtis did things. And, I try to carry a lot of that into my career because, I've seen how far that can get you.
Like I said, I'm a second generation big leaguer. My dad been in the majors for 21 years. So, he's been on me about the two strike thing. Like, it's happened, being around J-Ro, being around Mike Bourne, being around EJ, seeing Cam be straight and narrow in Lakeland in 2007. Like, I've been around it. I've seen these guys do it. So, it's kind of mandatory that you fall in line.
I've seen players even as well when I was coming up where there were guys that we had rules on the team. You had to wear your hair a certain way. It couldn't be too long. I understand rules are for everybody. But I saw black players be told to cut their hair, and then after they cut their hair, they were released. This happened multiple times. I didn't see the white players get asked to cut their hair, and if they did, they definitely weren't released afterwards. These are true things that happened back when I was coming up in the minor league. So these are some of the things that we're talking about that we've experienced as players, as teammates. And if you notice, just looking at even the 5 guys on this call, we have a batting champ, we have a pitcher with a no-hitter, we have a World Series champ, we have a future Hall of Famer in CC. If you are a black player in this game, you're probably a standout player, like D said. You're not that guy that's the 25th guy on the roster. You're not the guy that's the last guy name being called. The black players that are a part of the Players Alliance have been some of the top players. Look at the accolades: MVPs, All-Stars, Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers. So when you're talking about having those 2 or 3 strikes, we're playing as hard as we can. We're trying to produce as hard as we can. Just like everything else we're talking about, we want everybody to be equal across the board. If we have to keep doing all those things and our numbers are still this low, these are some of the problems that we're trying to address.
No, I was thinking about this too. When was the last time you saw a black catcher? You start looking at the DH. Now we're rotating that DH. That used to be where Gary Ward or Dave Winfield or Eddie Murray or Reggie or somebody went at the end of their career. That's not there for you guys now as a complete job. Then you talk about pitching. There's not a lot of black pitchers coming out of the bullpen. So those are the things that are happening and why these things are being addressed in this conversation is important. So I want to keep it on the fact that this is the mentorship stuff you're talking about. You were passing these lessons and these conversations on?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's up to us now. Like how we talked about the Ellis Burks and Adam Joneses, and we're those guys now sitting in this position to pass it on to the younger players. And it's our duty. And really, it's our duty to start this Players Alliance to make sure that, 10 years from now, they're not doing the same thing and explaining the same things to the guys coming in. Hopefully we can make some change and, get some utility players, have a catcher, you know what I'm saying? Different things in the game that we're just kind of cut out of.